Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, even on the simplest of days, the immigrant experience has layers that many of us will never quite understand. And guess what? If you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And you know, if you like how we do things around here, I am going to go on a limb and assume that you do, because quite frankly, you're listening right now. And if you are listening, subscribe. Keep subscribing. Give us the old 5-star rating on your podcast provider of choice. We're available pretty much everywhere. Places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and plus we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we'd absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Letterboxd, the TikTok, the Threads, the Blue Sky. I lose track. But we're in the scenes for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we live to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we live it all that much more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please do us that kindness. Come on by and pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a good one. It is a new film that is hitting VOD platforms tomorrow and is also having Toronto premiere screening at the Paradise Theatre here in downtown Toronto with director Jerome Yoo in attendance. It's called Mongrels, and it's an interesting story. It's a coming of age immigrant story set in 1991, where a grieving Korean family immigrates to the Canadian prairies to help cull the troubling population of feral dogs. But along the way, they have to confront their own personal trials and tribulations as they adapt to their new lives in this country. It's subtle. It's really well told. It's done with a real sense of honesty, and it's from writer director Jerome Yoo, and it's a powerful piece of work. It's visually evocative. It's not hitting us over the head with sort of the usual immigration story tropes. It's really a compelling watch, and it gives us insight into sort of the realities and the highs and the lows and everything else in between when it comes to adapting to a new country and immigrating and all of that stuff in between. But we had the pleasure of sitting down with writer director Jerome Yoo to talk about the origins of the story, getting it all done, uh, what inspired him to make the jump from shorts to feature and so much more, and just sort of the business in general. He's definitely an up and coming talent, and I mean, I definitely think you got to keep your eyes open for this guy because he's going to be doing more and more as the years go on, either acting or as a writer director. Because well, he's a good one, and at the end of the day, especially in this entertainment business of ours, if you write for yourself and get something made for yourself, it's a better way to get ahead than waiting on someone else to do it for you. And Jerome is definitely on the rise. And like I said, we had a great conversation. If you get a chance, check out Mongrels either this coming Saturday here in the Paradise in downtown Toronto, or on all video on demand platforms. But first, enjoy our talk with Jerome, because between you and me, it's a pretty darn good one. Jerome, man, obviously, first off, just I want to say thank you so much for the time, and just congratulations on the film, man. I had a chance to watch it last night, man. This is really a stunning piece of work.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
No, I mean, I guess the first question is walk me through what made you want to tell not just this story, but I mean, in this way, because I mean, from a visual standpoint, I mean, it's gorgeous. It's such a highlight not only for BC, but it really sort of evokes emotion and gives layers to the character. It's really you've made this sort of a very visually evocative piece.
Um, yeah, I suppose like because it's my first feature film, like many first feature films, I thought it might be best to start from a personal place.
Right.
I think the story has nuances and layers that encapsulate fragments of memories of myself or just memories of my family or very close loved ones as I was growing up in Canada. Visually, uh, I don't know if there was like the biggest intention in making the way that to make it look the way it did. I think I really centered it around how I wanted to capture the characters. Of course, the story is told and unpacked through three different perspectives. So I thought that um, to best cater to what each of them experiences, their trials and tribulations, their perception of the world. Um, I think the visual just sort of followed in sort of the way that, like, to this family, what their home represented, what this new world represented. It takes shape in different sort of colors and ways just to uh, better cater to each character's perception of the world. So in that way, it keeps on shifting, and I don't know if the result is forced rather than it just kind of came together naturally.
Well, I mean, I think it did come together naturally because, again, I like your idea of perspective and memory because, I mean, again, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a white guy in Toronto. I don't necessarily have a perspective on the immigrant experience, but I can understand it being sort of good and bad, and there being bad memories and good memories, and being very sort of complicated rather than sort of the overly idealized portrait, either one way or the other, that we do get when it comes to that. How big was it for you to give this sort of I guess maybe a natural ambiguity, if that makes any kind of sense?
Yeah, I believe, like you were just saying, it's complex, you know.
Yeah.
There's no like one take on the immigrant experience, and because I was so familiar of, you know, the films that are out there, the stories that are out there, like I think I wanted to show that there's so many layers to it and so many experiences to it, which is why like it's kind of maybe uh I don't know, like maybe I got a bit greedy and just like wanted to show so much that I kind of had to structure it in this way to show those many different experiences and colors that immigration, the experience of it, can give way to. So, uh, yeah, I think it was just me wanting to express so many different things. At times, it's really difficult. Struggle and challenges and obstacles rings very true to the immigrant experience, but it's often something that's so expressed commonly that I think I want to also show the opposite of that, of how it can be quite um, beautiful also.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the thing that really I would want to ask you about was just, I mean, I don't know if this is true to the prairies or not, but it's this idea of feral dogs and them being around to sort of hunt them and to help the neighborhood, and it's because I mean, especially when it comes to dogs, there is this vicious side, but it's so close to this sort of tender and sort of emotional side that we as people will kind of gravitate to. Like, is that something that was actually happening at the time, especially in '91, or was this something you kind of put in to give it a little bit more of a sort of layered emotional feel?
Yeah, no, like I grew up with the imagery of dogs, you know, like it's
Yeah.
a funny thing, like how they're supposed to be like man's best friend. Like I oftentimes in a very, I don't know if you would call it strange or messed up, but like I have a softer spot for like animals and dogs than I do for like humans at times.
Yeah, totally.
But you know, even just that comparison, right? Like that contrast of like, oh, why do I like as a person like have a softer spot for, you know, animals. um, I think this idea, like, it kind of rooted from many different places. I think, like, internally, growing up, I had a weird thing where I think it was elementary school, like around 2005. It was like the rise of YouTube, where classmates, like, we were all like fixated on YouTube, but all of a sudden, like, classmates would start making fun of me and teasing me that I was Korean, so therefore I must eat dog meat. And I like it just so came out of like nowhere for me that like it kind of like stunned me, and then I got into watching like these videos of like long time ago, there used to be like such a culture in Korea growing up because Korea a long time ago, like the economy was so terrible.
Right. Yeah.
Really, the economy boomed after the Korean War in the 1950s. And yeah, like just during that era, like I think like people struggled and that's something that they resorted to. But anyways, this was like kind of placed on me out of nowhere. And I like held like very complicated feelings about it of like what it meant to be Korean, like the ties stereotypically with Koreans and dogs. Um, and it was this alongside like all these sort of like news that I've seen many years ago that like feral dogs and like wild dogs has been a problem to like farmers around the world.
Mm.
Um, Specifically in Canada, there's been instances of like wild dogs kind of populating like the prairies when they go unchecked, and
Oh wow. Okay.
they've there's been like accidents of like kids being uh, attacked by dogs and being like killed. And I think yeah, this sort of like culling of this dog population, I think coming internally from this complex mindset, I wanted to kind of materialize it into a real world of a real story because I felt like it felt fitting to parallel this family with these dogs that are at times very misunderstood and are outsiders.
Well, and it feels very much that you got a lot of that, I guess, emotion and sort of complexity from your ensemble. Because I mean, going through the cast list, I mean, obviously your Korean actors, this is their first film, but I mean, even with your sort of Canadian white actors, like they don't necessarily have a ton of credits among them. How big was it for you to sort of have sort of a, I mean, this might feel like a loaded question, but to have sort of like an almost like sort of blank canvas to work with in terms of actors, because again, it really felt like no one came into this with sort of any preconceived notions. It felt very much sort of raw and real.
I think for me, like the cast, like I'm so lucky that I found them. Really, like as a low budget production, I
Yeah.
think like we knew that we had to work with non-union actors, but that's not something that necessarily daunted me because I think all through my short film career, like I've been so familiar and used to working with uh non-actors or like actors that are just starting out in their career or just lesser experienced. Not that like Morgan or Candice or Jed, the actors that play the Larson family are
Right.
necessarily like any less than, but like I think the pool that I was able to find them from, like really like uh, uh, they really showed the essence of each member so well, just in their everyday selves. That to me, like I knew that if they were able to bring that as just the foundation, the performances and the craft of acting added on top of that, it would be able to elevate their performances into something that would add to the film and the story.
No, 100%, 100%. Now I'm curious, what, like, especially with this, what made you want to make the jump to doing a full feature? Because I mean, a lot of people can say they want to do a full feature and do a bunch of shorts and then never get to it. Like, what was sort of the impetus for you to make the jump?
I think that every short filmmaker like feels like one day in their life they need to make a feature film. Like that's next jump. And at times it's almost like, you know what it feels like lately? It's like I've been reflecting back and it's felt like an art student that's like maybe in like high school or secondary school, like
Right,
preparing their portfolio for like college. Like
right,
college is like the
right, right,
big
right.
leagues, you know, like all the prestigious festivals, like, like TIFF is one of them, like Cannes, Venice, like Berlinale, like all of those are like the Ivy League, like, it's like the Harvard and like the Yale and like all the prestigious like colleges that everyone's like prepping for in hopes to get in. So then it's like I think like every short filmmaker, almost like I'm in like high school again. Like I know like I'm studying and I'm working and I'm dreaming of something bigger. So then I'm prepping for it. The way for me that it came about, like it was uh it's funny, like it can be a happy accident even, as I would call it. Back in 2020, I found out that there was the Talent Watch program by Telefilm, which is the funding program for first-time filmmakers, feature filmmakers.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had a mentor, Zach Lipovsky, who's actually the director of Final Destination Bloodlines right now.
Nice.
So because he's from BC, he's always been consulting me as well as my editor, who's also a director, Lawrence Alam. He got us together and was essentially saying the next step for us is to write a feature film, to have that ready. And so, with the deadline 1 month out, we kind of challenged ourselves, Lawrence and I, that we're gonna both tackle just writing a vomit draft of the script essentially and trying to apply. And we did just that. And, I think it was like so terrible, or I really wasn't quite satisfied with the script that I really didn't expect much. And I just wanted to use it as motivation to have one draft out, if
Mm.
anything. Um, I think it's funny too that Lawrence and I we were kind of historically looking at the recipients because Telefilm they give out grants to like East, West, and I think like the interior, but you find that BC always gets a little less than Toronto, probably just because of the size of the city.
For sure.
But then
Yeah.
like you also saw like very little to none, like no diversity in like
Yeah.
the recipients at the time back in 2020. If you look at 2019, 18 and further backwards. So I don't think we had much expectations as to Asian filmmakers in BC that were just yeah, but happy accidents happen because I still remember like the exact day that I received the news. Like it was my birthday in the middle of the pandemic, and I got the news that we got funding, and I think that just made everything more real. That it slowly dawned on me of like, oh, like I actually have to make a feature film. But yeah, that's my long answer. It's like a happy accident in some ways that
It's a good one though. But I mean, now that you've answered that, I got to ask: is there anything now that you're at the end of the process that you kind of wish you knew at the beginning of the process?
I think to me, I just think about the lessons learned, and maybe one of the biggest ones is two comes to mind. Lock the script. You shouldn't be revising so much. I know, like, it would have been a lot easier on my team if I had fully locked the script going into the shoot. Maybe that's just a no-brainer, but I think like making like moves and like adjustments like on a 10-page script for a short film is a lot easier over the course of like a 2, 3 day shoot rather than we ended up shooting 20 days on our telephone feature. So it's locking the script as well as just pre-production. I really think it's like where the film is made. So just to be able to prep as precisely and as diligently as you can for like a lengthy shoot in pre-production, like it'll save you a lot of agony, I would say. So those are lessons that just come to mind reflecting back.
For sure, 100%. Now, I mean, do have to ask you about the script though, because something that really struck me just in watching the film is, and this can be something that first-time filmmakers tend to be guilty of. They can overcram it with dialogue, and there can be a little too much going on. It felt to me in watching this film, you weren't afraid to let sort of the moment sit and let your actors sort of advance the story by a look or a glance or just sort of in the moment of how they're reacting to something. How big was that for you to sort of not, I guess, not overuse exposition, but also allow your actors sort of moments to really sit in the moment, I guess.
Yeah, was it Denis Villeneuve that was oh, like I hate dialogue or something
I
like,
think
or
you're
like
right. Yeah, yeah.
movies. I mean, I don't take it to that extreme, of course, but like I'm always like a big fan of just like showing rather than explaining, and you, oftentimes I think if you're so fortunate to work with great actors that's able to give the subtext or convey the intention or the emotion or the feeling with just a look or some sort of behavior, it could even just be a frame, on like an object or a room or an atmosphere. Like I think threading that needle to create something that sends a message, or rather than a message, just sort of like some feeling to the audience, like that I want to share. Uh, I think that's beauty of cinema sometimes.
Amen.
And
Yeah.
like I like to sit in things and maybe I'm just making the cinema that I enjoy. I of course like enjoy dialogue, good dialogue, but that's also a weakness of mine at times. So maybe that's me trying to avoid my weakness as well.
Well, I like that. I mean, you made cinema I enjoy, but I mean, just to put a bow on this, and it's a nerdy question, but it's one I always like to ask. Was there sort of a movie or a moment in your life that had the light bulb go off in your head, be like, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta tell stories, I gotta be a filmmaker.
Huh. Huh. That's a good question. I don't know if there's like one movie that like has quite done that for me, but maybe it's just like if I think back, the things in my life that kind of like I have such strong memories of, or like have such a how should I say, like there's like kind of like a lingering emotion with me from my past and my childhood. Like um of course there's like moments in real life, but I actually get taken back to like moments in the theater. Um there are certain moments actually, like usually it's frightening moments as a kid. Like it's like Spider-Man, it's the one with it's the first one with Tobey Maguire, like the
Right.
Green Goblin. Like the Green Goblin scared the shit out of me like when I was young.
Well, William
Bong
Dafoe,
like
man, come on, of course.
yeah. It's like as a kid, it's like it's like all the movies that actually scared me, that like Jurassic Park, of course,
Yeah.
or when the T-Rex is like like stomping around and the kids are like under was it the kids or the adult, maybe like underneath like the car.
Oh, that was
um
it. Yeah.
yeah, it's like The Host by Bong Joon-ho. Like that's the first movie that I ever saw in Korean cinemas on a summertime visit, and like it's just like I guess like speaking out loud now that you ask, like it's like all these like moments that stick with me. It's like from fear as a kid, which makes me now think whether I should make a horror next or something like that.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, and I mean, I'm always curious to see what kind of stories people have, and I mean, I think you've made a beautiful piece of work here. But I mean, just last question, because obviously, you've done a couple of screenings, you've done festival run. I know it's going to be here in Toronto tomorrow for a one-off, but ultimately, most people end up seeing this on VOD and streaming. For you as a filmmaker, are you just happy that it's getting seen, or does the ultimate hope to be like to have that sort of 6 week run, 4 shows a day of people coming to see your work?
I think I'm just getting started. I think like in the future, like I want my films to be running like longer in theaters. And again, like I'm looking at people around me that I started my career with. Like again, my mentor, like Zach. Like he's like his film is like the biggest in the world right now, and it's in every theater around the world. Like that poster is like everywhere. I just came from Los Angeles and it's like everywhere. And there's just like a glimmer of hope. Like, oh, if like someone from my hometown, that's good, that I'm good friends with, can do it, then I think like I'll get there too. And I think that's every filmmaker's hope, is to just have it on that big screen and have uh, cinema audiences just going out in droves, watching, popcorn in hand,
Sure, man.
escaping from reality. So, yeah, like I hope to get there hopefully soon, and in my following films to come.
Well, you're well on your way, man, because I mean, honestly, this is such a fantastic piece of work. And I mean, hell, Final Destination Bloodlines is a fantastic piece of work. But I mean, again, it's the art of cinema and it's the joy. And I know you're going to be here on the 31st for the screening of the Paradise. And we'll make sure that people have all the info when I put it in the when we publish this tonight, tomorrow. But Jerome, man, just good luck and just congrats on the work, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me again.
You're very welcome, man. All right, talk to you soon. And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.